Katja, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Good morning, and thank you very much for having me in this interview. I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
That's fantastic to hear. Katja, at the Risk Minds Climate Change Risk and ESG event, you joined the panel on diversity and inclusion. Can you tell us the tangible benefits you've seen from incorporating diversity and inclusion into your day-to-day activities?
I certainly can. First of all, because sustainability and therefore ESG is so at the core of our Zurich strategy, we have plenty of examples. To give you two, our customers really like our ESG propositions. One example is that we gave them choice of funds for certain of our life insurance products, including ESG funds, and our customers really love them. So they go for them, and that's cool for them, and that's cool for us. A second example relates to tangible benefits for our employees. They are proud of us. They are proud of working for a firm like this. They are proud of the many initiatives we do in the office, outside of the office, with our connected charities. For example, we do a very significant reforestation project in Brazil with local charities, and our employees can contribute personally to that one. And for their personal contribution, we actually plant even more trees. And that works really, really wonderful for motivation for our employees. So two benefits I want to show here. I could give you plenty more.
And I wanted to also touch on the impact of the pandemic on diversity and inclusion. What did you see in this area?
I saw two different things, contrasting things. One of the not so great developments of the pandemic, I think we need to be honest here, is that women still bear the majority of the negative impacts. They have the higher care duty, they do most of the homeschooling, they have been more affected by furlough as well as by losing their job schemes. And that actually feels like going back in history, and that is seriously worrying for me. On the other hand, what we have also seen in this enforced remote working environment is that managers had to look much, much more into outcomes of work because they had nothing else. So unconscious bias with regard to presenteeism in the office, or the color of your skin, or the way you dress yourself, or whatever it might be, became much, much less important in such an environment. Those outcomes were all that were. And I have made the experience that groups from different ways of life and people from different ways of life actually flourish much, much more in such an environment. Because again, they are judged on their outcomes, not on random factors that they cannot change. And that certainly is a good thing, and that is a thing that we should try to keep and develop further once this pandemic is gone.
As always, it's a double-edged sword with the pandemic, isn't it?
It is.
So I also wanted to talk to you about diversity and inclusion being a UN Sustainable Development Goal, yet it's the least developed one of those goals. What do you see as the main hurdles to D&I?
I think important for me is D&I is a mindset. D&I is not a project or a process or a program. And I have seen that some firms, some public bodies have actually approached it more like a program. Now, I understand that if you want to get some initial push into these change programs, but it really has to come down into mindset of everyone in your organization. And that is a more difficult bit. And my interpretation is that this is what is still lacking, this mindset change here and there. Related to that mindset, I also would want to point out that we all probably focused a little bit too much on the D of the D&I, and we simply need to do more on the I. Because the I is as important, if not more important, to the D. Again, and we see this in practice. Again, I give you a small example of Zurich. As in one of our markets, we had started introducing flexible work into all of our internal job advertisements. We also quite consciously put efforts into using gender-neutral language, i.e. not talking about driving results, which sounds very masculine, but talk about outcomes. Simple things like that. What we saw in this program was that actually applications from female employees soared highly. And for me, that is a little sign, a little example of how inclusion works. It's these little signs that help us and help our workforce to feel properly included, not only counted as a diversity factor. And here I simply believe that the world, many firms, many other public bodies simply have still work to do. So we need to do the work and we'll be in a better place.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind me just tagging on another question here, we surveyed the attendees at Risk Minds a couple of times now, and the majority of them sort of expressed that diversity and inclusion, even though their organizations are doing it, it's difficult to do it effectively. So what would you say to those organizations also to those people that feel that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I do not exactly know what's going not as well in these organizations, but my gut feeling is, again, it's the mindset question, and it's the I. It's the I and the D&I. If organization can solve these two items, I think they should be on a good way.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Katja.
Thank you so much for having me here.